Andrew tends to dominate and lead the play. Andrew and Sharon at the moment, they don't mix.
Not only does a disservice to the children who are being told what to do and being bossed around, it's doing a disservice to the other child as well who's being bossy, because they're not learning how to have healthy relationships. We have to teach it to them. It is Supernanny Saturday, and this week we are watching The Jeans Family. So let's grab our beverages and dive in.
Hi, we're the Jeans family. I'm David.
And I'm Barbara. I met Dave through a friend. I was set up with another guy, and
Fortunately, the other guy got sick, so I saw an opportunity.
we've been together for about 20 years. We were really late bloomers. We waited a long time before we had kids. And since we've had kids,
Dramatic.
everything has changed.
Home sweet home.
I had to pull up the ages on everyone in the family because when I saw Late Bloomer, I assumed that mom and dad met later in life and that's why they had children later in life. But no. They actually were together for 20 years before having kids. So at the time of filming, if mom was 43 and her oldest is 4.5, that means she was just about 20 when they started dating. And then for dad, he was 51 at time of filming. So if we take 20 years plus a little bit more, he was in his upper 20s. They met at an early age. And then it got me thinking, well, are people having children later now? Because we hear that a lot of, now women aren't having children as young. And then I thought, well, what's the data? Is that something that is really supported by the data? So I pulled it up. This chart right here shows the difference between women in 1994, which is the green line, compared to women in 2014, which is the golden line. Check that out. By 34, by their mid-30s, both groups of women were about equally likely to become mothers. The biggest gap is right here in those early 20s, late 20s, and then the gap gets closed. And right over here by 44, we can see that the 2014 line jumps a little bit higher than the 1994.
Who's that?
Hi. Joe Frost.
Barbara, Jeans,
nice to meet you,
too. Supernanny has a very good presence.
Hey, David. Nice to meet you.
She said hello to the kids right away. Her tone was very good and upbeat. And so I was pretty pleased.
Oh, you're going to give me a hug. Hello, sweetie.
It is so interesting to go way back to season 1, episode 1. This was the pilot episode. You can see the excitement in Joe Frost's eyes. They had no idea how big this show was going to become. I don't think anyone did. And we are still here over 20 years later watching and talking about it. Let's see how observation day goes.
Come on, Andy Pandy.
Andy, do you want jelly today?
No. When I first walked into the house, the parents were doing breakfast.
Honey, that is lots of them. What's the matter?
I want more chips.
Jessie this morning had chips for breakfast.
Is that for your breakfast?
Leah did not have anything for breakfast.
What's up?
Oh no, way back in episode 1, it was already permissive parenting. If you're not familiar with the terms, it's really easy. You have authoritarian. These are the because I said so parents. They're the ones that don't care for your opinion. And if you do anything that's out of line, you are punished for it. Then you have your neglectful parents, which it's pretty self-explanatory. They're not there for you, either physically, emotionally, at all. It's like you're on your own. Then you have your permissive parents, which are the ones who, he starts this off, he's like, oh, so sweet with his daughter. He calls her something like, I don't know, little bubby or whatever he called her endearingly. And they look like they very much are a loving family, like loving parents, but there are just no limits, no boundaries. Permissive parenting. And then finally you have the gold standard, the one that all the literature points to having the highest success rate for children becoming adults. That is authoritative, not to be confused with authoritarian. Authoritative, they are loving like this, but they're not letting their kids walk all over them, in the sense of children need boundaries. They can't make these decisions on their own, like what to eat for breakfast. So I think we should do something fun today. I have a notebook. And on this notebook, I am going to write down everything that we see that is permissive parenting. You take a mental note as well, and let's see if we come up with the same ideas as we finish observation day.
We're getting the girls dressed.
After breakfast, getting the girls dressed. That was another stressful event.
How about this pink thing? Andy, want to wear this?
I don't need
Yeah, you do. Just gonna put a shirt on, okay?
All right, shoes. They seem to have walked away.
The disappearing shoes. Is Andy normally cooperative?
No. Come on.
So whose trainers are these?
Let's wear these.
No socks for you.
No.
I have two already. Number one, too many choices. They go up to the drawers and they're just picking out clothes like a kid in a candy shop. What would you like? Would you like some of this? Would you like some of that? And how about this pink one? That means if you have a child who wants to wear the same superhero outfit or the same princess outfit or the same whatever, their favorite outfit, over and over and over and over again, and you're sick of that, just take it out of the choices. Just completely remove that. Because if you're saying to your child, what would you like to wear today? And their favorite thing is there, and it's some fluffy dress that you don't want them to wear to preschool, why is it there? The choices that you give your children are all good choices, so that whatever they choose, you're okay with. So that's number one. Did you get that one? And then the second one was when he was getting his daughter dressed, he was trying to convince her that it was okay. That is another permissive parenting trait. Once the child picks from your two good choices, or three good choices maybe, that's it. You don't need to convince them to feel happy about it. Permissive parents tend to want to make their children happy all the time and feel good all the time. And, you know, there's probably a lot of psychological background to that we won't get into, but we don't have to make our kids happy. We offer them choices. That is enough. You don't need to offer them the entire world, and they don't have to be happy about everything.
No, don't not my dad book.
And that's how Andrew replies back to you.
Yeah.
Right, okay. I'm getting the gist of this now.
Yeah. What book?
My Care Bear book.
Your Care Bear book you hadn't seen for a month. You want to carry? Do you want to carry your Care Bear book? What was that?
Yes.
Just kicked him. I think it's absolutely crazy.
You don't get it.
I want it.
Well, you kick me, you don't get anything.
I thought for sure that he was going to give in to Andra's demands, but he didn't. She was kicking, she was screaming, and he did not give her, what was it, the book? She wanted a book, Care Bear book, by the way. Side note, love the Care Bears. He didn't give in. So I was like, oh, go, Dad, go. But unfortunately, he still allowed her to treat him like that, kicking and screaming at him. That's not okay. So on the scale of permissive parenting, was he super far where, you know, you let your kids smack you in the face and then you give them the book? That would be the worst of the worst. He was somewhere, he didn't give in to the book, but he still allowed her to treat him that way.
I'd like to be the boss, and I don't feel like I am right now, or that I ever have been. If you don't kick me for a few days, maybe I'll give your Care Bear book back. Mom?
Tantrum at his best.
I want my Care Bear book. Come back, Mommy. Mommy, come back.
Andra, stop. Just...
Can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Now, most permissive parents don't wake up in the morning and go, oh, I just can't wait to be permissive today. I can't wait to have my child kick and scream and then, you know, give in to them or not give in to them and then still let them treat me that way. No one goes into parenting wanting this, but they're broken down and tired. They're like, Kristen, what do you want me to do? The kid won't stop screaming. It's so much easier. Or, you know, I didn't give him the book. Isn't that good enough? Well, here's what's missing. The skill of making requests. You didn't give in to the book, so now you need to teach her how to kindly ask for things. So what I would have done, which by the way, if you're new here, I'm Kristen, I'm an educator, I'm a mom of two myself. I have a 7-year-old and 11-year-old, and I work with children who have behavioral challenges, so this is not new to me. This is what they're gonna do. They're gonna just be sassy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at them and go, oh, I hear you saying something to me. What I think you're saying to me is that you want, notice how slowly I'm talking, right? You want the Care Bear book. Yes, you want the Care Bear book. Well, this isn't how you're gonna get the Care Bear book. So let's try this again. I want you to look at me, okay? Say, excuse me, mommy. And then you wait for them and they say, excuse me, mommy. Can I please have the Care Bear book while we drive to the grocery store? Now you say it. Okay, got it. That, you hear how you just sounded? Oh, it was lovely. It was like music to my ears. It makes me want to give you that Care Bear book. So if you want something, you're going to ask it like that. Okay, try again. And then you practice it. And in the beginning, really try to give in to that request because we want to reinforce that it works. And then as they get good at it, we're going to start, saying no some of the time and then teaching them the skill of handling disappointment, which, I don't want to ramble on too much before we get to the next part. But that's what's missing here, Dad. You're not completely giving into the request, but you are certainly allowing her to treat you this way, which means she will continue to treat you that way until you teach her the skill on how to do it properly.
When we arrived at the supermarket, all three girls were arguing who was going to sit in the cart, and it was real troublesome.
We're gonna see if all three of you will fit. Where are you?
It's a bag. It's yours. Donut. Please, Mommy.
You need to come with me.
I'll be extra good if you give me a donut.
Yeah, right.
Next up on our permissive parenting list is a lack of expectations. We're at the grocery store, but nobody knows what's going on, including Mom. Are they all in the shopping cart? No, they're not all in the shopping cart because everybody's smushing each other. Then we have Andrew just running all over the store, touching all the things. But I must commend Mom because when Andra makes a demand, just like she did with Dad, she doesn't give in. Andra wants a donut. And she even says, but I'll behave if you give me a donut. And Mom does not give her the donut. So again, bravo, you're halfway there. Oh, living on a prayer. She's so close. She's really close. But now we need to make sure that you don't allow your kid to treat you that way. And it starts with expectations. Did you even have a conversation on what it's supposed to look like in the grocery store? Does anybody have an idea of what's going on? Joe Frost, please help them.
So what happens now with the girls?
That's what I'm hoping you'll help me with, because I don't really know. Nothing happens. I mean, I have nothing scheduled with them at all.
I'm not your dad.
They get bored. They end up fighting with one another. Andrew tends to dominate and lead the play. Andrew and Sharon at the moment, they don't mix.
Joe Frost is spot on with this. They get back from the grocery store and there's no schedule. It's great that Mom has Play-Doh. She has some toys outside for the kids to play with. They even play with a garbage can. Unstructured play is so beneficial. Seriously. The lack of overcorrection. We don't want to overcorrect our kids. We want them to be able to figure out how to play with things and that they don't have to be waiting. What do I do now? I'm bored. Figure out something to do. We like this, but we're not talking about 7-year-olds. We're not talking about 6-year-olds. We're not even talking about 5-year-olds. We're talking about 3-year-olds and a 4-year-old. At that point, they don't know the skills on how to play together. They haven't been taught the skills, so they're not practicing it in unstructured play. Let me explain this. If kids are left to their own devices, very quickly, you're going to have your alphas go to the top that are bossing the other kids around. And it might feel good for that alpha child, whether it's a friendship or it's a sibling relationship. It feels good. They get to do whatever they want. They get to go first. They get to whatever. And then what's going to happen over time is that kid is going to struggle in friendships, because as kids get older, they realize, I don't want to go play with Andra. Andra's bossing me around all the time. And then Andra doesn't have any friends, and then Andra's sad because she's like, I don't have any friends, because nobody helped her learn how to compromise, learn how to take turns. We can't leave children in unstructured play if they don't have the skills to practice.
She's also very aggressive. She hits her twin sisters. That kind of behaviour is just not acceptable, and it has to be addressed.
So we get them set up with the Play-Doh. We get the ball rolling. We start, see how these toys are over here. When Andra's using this toy, you can use that toy. And then you say, excuse me, Andra, can I please have that toy? Okay, Andra, you see how your sister asked that? Okay, and then you teach the skill, and then you just start moving back a little bit. Then you're not sitting at the table with them. You're maybe doing some bills that's on the counter next to them, but you're not quite with them. And then eventually they're practicing these skills during unstructured play on their own, and you're just within earshot so you can help if there's any issues. But leaving children like this not only does a disservice to the children who are being told what to do and being bossed around, it's doing a disservice to the other child as well who's being bossy, because they're not learning how to be a good friend, how to have healthy relationships. We have to teach it to them.
The time was ridiculous. Andra made a big fuss about not having the sippy cup that she wanted.
What's wrong?
Do you want it warm?
Do you want this one warmed up?
What? And I want that one. No,
Andra, go back and sit down. Go back and sit down.
It's mine. It's mine.
This one?
No.
Andy.
I want it.
What is
You want to go to your room?
We are finishing off observation day at the dinner table, and once again, Andra is having trouble. She wants a specific sippy cup. I don't want this sippy cup. I want that sippy cup. Now, Mom and Dad do not give in. They do not give her the sippy cup she wants, but now she's running around the table, and she's trying to grab the sippy cup from her sister, and she's throwing her body all over the place, and she's whining. And what Mom does is what Dad did earlier, trying to convince her to be happy with what she has. Don't do it. She looks at her daughter and she goes, oh, what's different about that sippy cup? What's wrong with this sippy cup? We're not having a conversation. You're engaging with this behavior. That means that you're putting your stamp of approval on it by trying to convince her. It's not like she's going to look at you, Mom, and go, you know what? You're right. It's the same sippy cup. What is the difference? Silly me. Thanks, Mom. It's not going to happen. Don't engage and have a conversation when your child is acting this way. It's teaching day time. It's teaching day time. Let's go, Joe. Let's do it.
I'm pretty exhausted and spent, and for somebody to recognize that, that was a little emotional for me.
Barbara's been exhausted since the birth of the kids. She is exhausted. It's a hard job.
I wonder if Supernanny can pull it off, really, because that has been my big question.
My first fear is, well, maybe she'll give us these things, and what if they don't work?
The parents are completely on board. They understand that what they're doing isn't working. They want the help. But unlike other families that we've seen before, the Jeans family have no reference as to who Joe Frost is. Like the Colombo family that we watched together, Mom had seen Supernanny on TV and then called and applied for the show, if I'm remembering correctly. They don't know who this woman is, and they're hopeful that the techniques will work. Today we are going to look at those techniques, and then at the end of the episode, stay tuned for the update on where they are now.
Okay, this is a routine because your house needs organisation, because we can't find anything anywhere, and there's no structure to the day. I've broken the whole day down for Barbara so that she knows what she's going to do with her girls during the day.
You know what I'd like to do is actually get a little closer to this routine and look at it more clearly. Let's see if we can get a little closer because it looks very detailed. So we have family wake up, Andra washed and something. I don't know what that is. Family breakfast, dad departs for work. I think these are the twins' names. Something, mom, something. It's really hard to see it, but you'll see, I guess the point of looking into this in more detail is you'll see that even in this middle part of the afternoon, it separates what the kids are doing and what she's doing. So my point is that it is quite detailed and it might feel overwhelming to create a schedule like this for yourself, but remember that it's just a skeleton.
The next thing that I introduced into the house was a discipline technique. I don't want you girls to shout at your mummy and daddy anymore, to be rude like this. I don't want to do it no more. Yes, Jessie. Yes.
The way that Joe Frost just imitated the tantrum and the little girl laughed, it made me think of something. I've been watching Supernanny for well over a year on this channel. There's a playlist of all the families we've watched if you want to check that out. And Teach Day is the same structure each time. Slight differences. She comes in with the schedule, then she comes in with the rules, and then she comes in with the discipline. And she goes bam, bam, bam. Now, I would insert right after the rules, but before the discipline, whether it be the naughty chair or the naughty step or the naughty bench or the naughty mat or the reflection room or whatever season it is and what she calls it in whatever family it is, put in role playing. Give an opportunity for the children to practice what's about to happen. And this is why. When you role play with children, it gives them a sense of what it feels like to be the other person. Have the adults be the children who are breaking the rules, and have the children be the adults who are enforcing the rules and the discipline program. Because so often we will tell children, imagine what it feels like, but they've only been on the earth for a few years. They don't have anything to imagine. They don't know what it feels like. And when you role play by being the child who breaks the rules and getting out of the naughty chair over and over and over again, the child who's the adult in the role play has to experience what it's like and how tiring it is to keep putting you back. And it's not done in a malicious way. It's in an educational way that's also fun.
You really test Barbara.
No, you may not decide for them watching. Excuse me.
Tell her to stop shouting at you. Every time
You
she
may not
addresses you.
shout at me like that. That is not acceptable. You shout at me again and you're going on the naughty stool. All right.
Right, on.
There you go.
On. It's not a game. This is not a game. On the
It's not a
naughty,
game. Come
on the
go to
naughty stool.
You sit in the naughty stool until I tell you that it's okay to get up. Do you understand me?
Mom is turning a corner. She is not going to accept the kicking and the screaming and the yelling anymore. She is letting go of the permissive parenting. She is becoming an authoritative parent with Joe Frost's help. Now, Joe Frost is implementing the naughty bench. As closely to the undesired behavior, the child gets the warning and then has to go to the naughty bench if they continue to break whatever rule it is. Now, whether a parent wants to implement timeout, time in, a logical consequence, the most important part is that it is as close to the undesired behavior as possible. So that means if a child's having a tantrum at 10 a.m. over breakfast, we're not going to say something like, you know what, no ice cream after dinner tonight. Because the kid doesn't care about later. They don't even understand later. They probably don't even understand the consequence if you took away their fun food after lunch. First of all, that's not a great logical consequence. And then on top of that, it's not even happening now. So it's not going to be effective. Just like a child who's struggling in school, having them come home from school and then be disciplined when they get home for what they did at school, it's just not going to make a big difference. What's going to make a difference is when we take that undesired behavior and we pair it with the consequence as close as possible, being careful that we've already taught the skills and that what we're expecting of them is developmentally appropriate.
We're going to play shops today. I encouraged Barbara to make sure that Andra wasn't the cashier that she wanted to be, because Andra always wants to get her own way, and it's important that Andra realises that she can't get her way all the time.
Oh, it's my turn. I want to be it.
Address that manner, Barbara. That has got to stop.
So what do I say?
So call her over to you. Say to her, do not talk to me like that.
I had such a big smile watching Joe Frost teach Mom how to show the kids to share and take turns, and then quickly my face just started turning to horror as it got worse and worse and worse and started just not teaching the skill at all. And I'm going to be a little bit of a Monday morning quarterback, which is really what this whole channel is, with me commenting on something that already happened, is I think I would lower the challenge for Andra. Right now, learning how to share with her sisters is top tier, and she's just not being successful with it. So I might see that and actually scale it back a little bit and just do the sharing activity with just Mom at first. Because we want our kids, whenever we're implementing a skill, we want them to be successful. So let's actually use this as a jumping off point. Let's say when you go to play dates, your child snatches the toys from everyone. And you're mortified because, you're just trying to bond with some other parents and your kid's the one stealing all the toys. Instead of trying to teach how to share at a play date, can you learn how to share at home with just you and your child first, before you start to put them in a more challenging environment? Does that make sense? And then getting really good at it and lots of that positive reinforcement. Oh my goodness, we were both able to play together and now you get to be the cashier. And it shows her that taking turns is beneficial for everyone and we all have fun, right? Coming back to that whole idea of being a good friend, and we all want to be a good friend and we want to have good friends. What do good friends look like? How do they act? How do they treat us?
So the main objective here is to not keep your children in the supermarket any longer than necessary. What I was teaching Barbara is that she should be able to get the children to help her and to put food and veg into the shopping cart.
Oh, good job. Box of strawberries, please. All right, Jessie can hold a cucumber. Can you get a little bit of broccoli, please? So now we get to ride the horsey.
Yay!
Absolutely nothing to add to this. I enjoyed watching the kids get involved with the grocery shopping trip. It was adorable how Andra asked Mom for the shopping list. Anytime we can get our kids involved in things, it's going to be much easier on us.
Okay, let's take a look.
I know how to undo that.
I know you do. What are you doing to your sister? Would you watch what you're doing, please?
We're at that point in the episode where Joe Frost left. She let the parents practice. Now she's back. They're watching the footage. What did we do wrong? What did we do right? What do we need to reinforce? And there was a little bit of footage that I noticed that I want to talk about. When the little girl was on her tricycle and she was in the kitchen, it just seemed like Mom was coming at her for everything. Just negative, 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 negative. And I get that Mom is working on her authoritative tone. She's trying not to be permissive and let the children be rude, but we just need to be careful that we don't become a negativity magnet. And I have a little trick for that. Assume positive intent. That means when your child goes to do something, think about what they wanted and phrase it that way. So when the child bangs into you, instead of going, oh, you can't bang into people, that's not nice. You go, oh, you banged into me because you wanted to get from the kitchen to the living room. Instead say, can I get through, please? Same thing like if a child snatches from something from your hand. You go, you wanted the marker, so you took it out of my hands. Say, can I take a turn, please?
Out with more clarity.
No, stop that.
Okay, do a happy praise voice. So bring your voice up high. Andra, that is really fantastic.
Andra, that is really fantastic.
No, that's not acceptable.
That is not acceptable.
That is very good.
That is very good.
Behave yourself.
Behave yourself.
I don't want you to do that.
Do not do that.
That was brilliant.
That was quite entertaining, watching Mom try to do the low voice and then the high voice for praise. Let's see where they all are now. As of 2024, Barbara is 63, David is 72, Andra is 24, and Jesse and Leah are 23. We have a little bit of pop culture. We did see some Hello Kitty. We talked about the Care Bears. A cartoon coloring book was seen. Barbie dolls in the supermarket. Dora the Explorer. Clifford the Big Red Dog. In the post-episode update, we do see that David and Barbara presumably divorced, but they're still good partners. And unfortunately, most of them don't really work, except for Leah's Instagram and then her Facebook. And her Facebook leads me to Dad's Facebook. So let's go down that. This is Leah's Facebook. We have a few pictures with, it looks like friends. There she is. Another one here. Then when you click on Leah's Facebook, there isn't much on there, but I noticed when you went to the friends list, a name that was quite familiar, David. That's Dad's Facebook. It does say single. This is the one I want to show you. The twins. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't find any information about Mom, but when I go back to Leah's Facebook, there's another profile that says Jude Jean. So I wonder if this is a family member. I'm not quite sure. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.